All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a book that has absolutely shattered the way millions of people think about their jobs, their homes, and their entire financial future. We're talking about Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We're going to break down the core lessons that pretty much challenge everything you've ever been taught about money. So the real power of this book comes from this clash between two father figures. You've got the poor dad, super educated but always struggling with money. And then you have the rich dad, a school dropout who becomes a millionaire. And you can see the difference in their thinking right here. Poor dad would say, I can't afford it. And that just shuts your brain down. But rich dad would ask, how can I afford it? Which forces your brain to start looking for solutions. I mean, their entire financial lives were built on simple but powerful shifts in mindset, just like that one. So let's really dig into this idea of two dads, two worlds, because what we're about to see is that these aren't just little opinions. They're completely opposing mindsets that literally create two totally different financial destinies. Now, the poor dad, he represented the path most of us are told to follow, right? Go to school, get good grades, find a safe, secure job, and whatever you do, don't take risks. But like he said himself, his mantra was, I'll never be rich. And those words became a self-fulfilling prophecy. His own thinking put a cap on his potential, all because his mindset was rooted in fear and just playing it safe. But the rich dad, he was playing a completely different game. His entire focus was on financial education, understanding how money really works, and taking smart, calculated risks. And he put it so perfectly. There's a huge difference between being poor and being bankrupt. Bankruptcy is just a temporary situation you can recover from. Poverty? Well, poverty is a permanent state of mind. For him, even when he had zero money, his real wealth was all in his head. And that massive difference in mindset leads us straight into Rich Dad's first and probably his most controversial lesson of all. Don't work for money. Now, that's a concept that goes against the very reason most of us get up and go to work every day. It really just boils down to this. The poor and the middle class spend their lives working for money. The rich, on the other hand, have their money work for them. It's such a profound shift in thinking. The question is, are you spending your life trading your time for a paycheck, or are you building systems that create paychecks for you? That question is the foundation for everything else in the book. So Rich Dad taught that when you only work for a salary, you get trapped in what he famously called the rat race. And you can see the cycle right here. You get a job, you start making more money, so you spend more, maybe on a nicer car or a bigger house. But then all of a sudden, your expenses shoot up, and now you're stuck. You have to work even harder just to pay for everything. Getting more money doesn't solve the problem, it just makes the cage bigger. So how in the world do you escape this rat race? Well, the answer lies in understanding the crucial difference between two little words, assets and liabilities. This is probably the single most important and honestly, the most misunderstood financial rule in the entire book. Okay, Rich Dad's definition of an asset is so simple, it's kind of brilliant. Forget all the complex accounting terms you've ever heard. An asset is simply anything that puts money in your pocket, whether you're actively working or not. That's it. Think of it like a little money-making machine that you own. And a liability? You guessed it, it's the exact opposite. It's anything that takes money out of your pocket month after month after month. The confusion between these two incredibly simple ideas is, according to him, the root cause of almost all financial struggle. And this right here is the trap. As the slide says, rich people acquire assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. They go out and buy a brand new car, a boat, or even their family home, and they truly believe they're making an investment. But because these things are constantly taking money out of your pocket for mortgage payments, insurance, and repairs, Rich Dad defines them as liabilities, not assets. No, don't get too bogged down by the text on this diagram. Just focus on the pattern, the flow of the cash. The entire goal is to use your income to build up this asset column. You want to buy things like rental properties that generate income or stocks that pay dividends. Those assets then create a flow of cash that goes right back into your income column, creating this incredibly powerful, positive feedback loop. And this slide just lays out the two paths so clearly, doesn't it? On the left, for the poor and middle class, money comes in from a job and then flows right back out to pay for liabilities and expenses. It's a one-way street. But look at the right. The rich use their income to buy assets. Those assets then generate more income, which they use to buy even more assets. It creates this powerful, self-sustaining loop of wealth. So once you really understand this game of acquiring assets, you unlock the next huge idea. The rich don't just earn money.
They actually invent it. This is all about realizing that building wealth isn't about working harder. It's about thinking more creatively. This might be one of Rich Dad's most profound points. Your mind is your single greatest asset. He argued that money isn't even really real. It's just an idea that we all agree on. So if that's true, then real wealth isn't created from your 9-to-5 job. It's created from your financial intelligence, your ability to spot opportunities that everyone else just walks right past. And he broke this financial intelligence down into 4 key pillars. First, accounting. You gotta be able to read the numbers to understand the story a financial statement is telling you. Second is investing, the actual science of making your money make more money. Third, understanding markets, just knowing the basics of supply and demand so you can spot opportunities. And finally, the law, using legal structures like corporations to protect your wealth and grow it in the most efficient way possible.
Okay, so we've got all this powerful knowledge, but Rich Dad is crystal clear on one thing. Just knowing all this stuff isn't nearly enough. The real question is, what are you going to do with it? This is about your path to freedom.
You know, at the end of the day, Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't a simple how-to guide with a checklist. It's really a challenge. It forces you to look in the mirror and confront your own deep-seated beliefs about money, beliefs you probably inherited without even realizing it. And so the choice it presents is now yours. Are you going to continue down the path of the poor dad, or are you going to choose the path of the rich dad? And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important takeaway of all. You have to start. You just have to take action. Start educating yourself. Start acquiring even small assets and learn from every single experience, especially your mistakes. Because according to Rich Dad, the biggest difference between the rich and the poor isn't how much money is in their bank account, it's the action they are willing to take today.